Welcome back to the Brick Abbey. We are going to be continuing our build here of the Slytherin Hogwarts Crest. And I'm actually just going to jump right in because I want to see if we can get a little bit more done today. And last time, we only had 3 casualties. I had to pick up all of the pieces that I had dropped. But I want to jump right in this time. And this is going to be a lot of green. So we are going to just get started here. One of the things that I have been doing is I'm going to slide the table up just a touch, just because this piece is, I want to keep the full thing in. And we moved, I think, at a really good clip with those first 2, but I want to see if I can get 3 of them done in a single video. And then that would mean the final video I would just have to do 2 and then potentially then put them all together. My daughter came in and she was like, "Oh, you got started." And she was like, "Oh, you're not attaching them yet." And I said, "No, I want to kind of wait because it's easier to move them around right now. Like if I, when I go to grab one, putting them all together, plus the ones beneath right here, I'm gonna need to pull down. So it doesn't do me much good to put them together right now in any capacity. So I was pretty excited to show her though, because you kind of can't see when you look at it from the angle on the table. So I opened up the OBS, the recording program. I was like, look. So she could, whoops, I don't want to try to get away. So she could see it, because you guys get the best angle. You can like immediately see it sort of taking shape. And I think that's pretty cool. They were upstairs just now. They kind of color or read or something calm before bed. And I went to start the recording, and I was like, somebody's being kind of loud, walking or something. And I'm going to cheat here. I'm just going to do that, and then a 4 right there, and then the rest are going to be green. And it wasn't them. They were just chilling in the hallway. There's like a hallway that connects their rooms, and at night they like to meet in the middle for activities, usually coloring, so they can share the markers, or in this case I think it's like a sticker book. It's actually kind of cool. They're like these blank white stickers, and they color them, and then you peel them out, so it's like a white sheet, but you can faintly make out like the outlines of the we caught that one. I caught that one. And so they're doing that right now. They're sharing a sticker book, and they've really taken to playing together. My wife and I noticed the other night they had some friends over. My wife was helping a family that we watch the kids if they need to do something, because it's a single mom and it's just extremely tough, in the middle of the day, to take all your kids to go do something sometimes. And so she'll drop some of the kids off with us, and we noticed that our kiddos, if they spend the day like that with some other kids, like the end of the day, my kids will kind of separate from us. Usually they're begging after dinner to play with me. We usually find some kind of a game or an activity to do, because I've been working all day and they've been doing school with mama all day. So they're usually dying to play with me. But we noticed on days like that, they really make sure they take time for each other. They separate, and they just want some time, just the 2 of them playing. We thought that was kind of cute. It was they don't verbalize it, but they definitely value the time they get together every day. So I thought that was cool. Because they can get at each other's throats, you know, every day. They have spats and they fight, but I think they really do enjoy each other's company. Sometimes siblings don't get along like at all until later in life. And I think my kiddos I think they're pretty much gonna be buds their whole life. We know a family where the sisters have like a real sweet friendship even now. They're all at college, and it's just neat to see when kids get older. You always talk to people who are like estranged from their parents or their siblings, and it's always kind of sad, you know. I'm very grateful and thankful. I have so much fun with my siblings when we get around each other. We're not all in the same city anymore, but it's great when we get together. Similar styles of humor and things that make us laugh, and just nice. There's also siblings and people that don't have siblings, you know, like only children. Like my daughter once said something like that. She was like, we shouldn't have a brother. You know, she's like being you know, classic, real grumpy, you know, about her brother. And I was like, you are kidding yourself. You'd miss him so much. You'd be so bored every day by yourself. And she conceded. She actually very quickly conceded. She calmed down. She said, yeah, well, he's still annoying sometimes. Like, she was willing to admit that she had overstated her case. And I agreed with her. I said, of course. So, of course he could be annoying sometimes. I said, so can you. You're not immune. You're not immune from that. They do get along most of the time, though, and their spats are short-lived. Something that I've been kind of proud of, you know. They tend to move on fairly quickly from spats. I invented a game for them. We were playing in the backyard. And they like this one. I kind of came up with it the one day. They had gotten these kickballs for like to take with them to school. They do like a school thing like once a week, because they are homeschooled, but then they do this thing like once a week with some other kids. It's really cool. And so they got these kickballs for it. Well, they're obviously not being used right now because the weather's been a little cold. And so the one day I was like, all right, well, here's what we'll do. We each take a color and we'll kick. Our neighbor has a chain link fence on the other side of our yard. I was like, you kick it all the way across the yard. I said, whoever gets closest to the fence gets 2 points. The next person gets 1 point. And then the third person gets no points. And if you hit the fence, you're out for that round. You can't get any points. And then to make it fair, whoever's in the lead always has to go first, because that obviously makes it a lot easier if you're second, or especially if you're third. Whoever's in last place goes third. Because if you're in last place and you get to go third, it's a lot easier to know like how far you need to kick it, because everybody else might have done really poorly or really well, or maybe somebody hit the fence, so you can not have to take as big of a risk with your kick. So it actually works really well. Like, I just kind of came up with the rules on the fly. I mean, it's probably similar to like bocce ball, which I've never played bocce ball, but it's probably similar to that. And they like it. And the first time we played it, my son is the youngest, so it's certain games he does just fine, holds his own. And then other games, he just has a little less control, a little less sophistication. He's 7. So the first time we played it, he lost, and he got very upset. He wanted to keep going. He was, let's go for another score. Let's, raise the requirement for the winner or whatever. But today, he lost, and he lost well. I told him, I said, losing well is as important as winning well, because if someone wins poorly, nobody wants to play with a person like that. If they get all cocky and braggadocious about it. And so I told him, I said, losing well is just a huge, huge victory in and of itself, right? I don't think that's corny. I think that that's true. And so I was really, I encouraged him. I said, man, it's a good job, buddy. Holding your head up and just taking it. Just take the loss. Because I told him, I said, look, man, somebody's got to be in last place. That's the game is literally set up that way. It's not, what good is a game if nobody can actually win or lose? They have those kids board games, for like real young ages. I kind of have a dislike for them. I know that they're primarily designed to teach, like numbers and colors and all that. But I don't like the games where no one loses, no one wins. It's like oops, there we go. They have these ones where like you're all working together, and I think that's fine because it like teaches teamwork. But I don't like the games I really don't like are the ones where there's literally no strategy involved at all. You're literally just spinning something, so you're at the mercy of the spinner. And I don't like those games. I'm glad that we're not in that phase anymore. That's a hard phase as a parent. There's phases where the books that you're reading, games that you're playing, generally any of the things, that your kid's enjoying, it's just so awful. They're repetitious and mundane and just generally not enjoyable. But I think it's, it's important because honestly, that's a great way to learn patience, because you're going to be saying things to your kids over and over and over again. And I think that patience goes a long way. My memory of my dad, he's still alive, but I don't want to think it's like he's dead. But my memory of him when I was younger was that he was a real patient man. And that we were teasing him this last time about a memory where he kind of get irritated with us and he kind of snapped at us. And we all remember it because it was a rarity, And I just thought that was a neat testimony about, how patient my dad was. It's a good man, especially with 3 boys, and then the youngest was our sister. So you got 4 kids, 3 of which are, rambunctious, whiny, sometimes rebellious boys. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get that green out of there without accidentally like pushing it down in the pile. So there are days where I do sense the looming payback that I'm going to endure with my 2 kiddos. Your parents always say, one day you're going to end up with a kid like you. And I'm like, oh no. Oh no. But it's true. Well, it looks like we're not going to be able to do 3, and that's okay. 2 each time is fine. 2 each time is fine. I think that'll end up working out because that means we'll have a day where we just do 1, and on that day, once that is finished, we'll be we'll transition to hooking everything together. You know? I think that'll be cool. I think that'll work rather well. And I got to tell you, I didn't like this one at first, but it has grown on me. Now that I'm in a bit more of a familiarity with the process, I've been able to just sort of get into my usual routine of just talking as I build, and just been able to tell the stories and just enjoy the time. And also it's felt faster, even though I guess we're not actually landing at a faster completion time for this, but that's okay because there are no rules here. We don't have like a deadline. That would be weird, wouldn't it? I'm kind of confused as to why they opted for the pattern around. There we go. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Okay. Let's get to the next tile. Oh, it's telling us to put them together. I'll come back and do that later. That is not that important right now. I'm getting a bit of a glare on the book, so I'm just going to prop it up. Maybe I could use a slightly smaller bag to prop it up. I don't want the... We're going to do something on the fly here. I don't want it to be, like, ugly in the footage. Okay, there. That's, like... That's slightly better. It's actually not... It's actually barely better. Okay. Yeah, that's like... It looks bad in the footage, so I'm not going to do it. I'll be okay. I will survive with a little bit of glare. It's the type of paper that they print these on. The paper, the light, I'm sorry, buddy, it just hits it just right that I can't see the numbers, but it's actually not that big of a deal because it's all threes. Wait, I'm just checking myself. Okay. I think this one's gonna look cool when we slide it in because it's gonna add to the snake. I'm kind of excited about that. I'm kind of glad we started with this one because that upper corner really sold me. Like as soon as I looked up and saw it on the camera, I thought, "Oh, this is great. This is gonna work." I hope it's as enjoyable as some of our other series that we've done. You know, from a viewer's perspective, feel free to give us some feedback if you want to see more mosaics. I want to do the other three, but we don't want to like belabor it. But if we get good responses to these, then we'll obviously continue to do them. If not, we could always put it on hold and get back to the Star Wars ones. Star Wars ones are like guaranteed to be a hit almost every time, Okay. We're back to continuing our grid pattern of the gray and the white. Whoop. I got it. I caught it. It's in my lap. Whoops. That is not where we want it. There we go. Okay. Do another row before we really have to deviate. At the very end, there's going to be a deviation to black. So let's just do that now. And then we'll come back across. Like that. I was discussing Legos with these kids that were pretty excited about, you know, starting this channel, and because they're super into Legos. And the one boy was like really sweet. He like sent me an email. He's like, let me get your email. I'll email you all of the sets that I think might be really good for your channel. I was like, oh, yeah, sure thing. And so they were, you know, asking me how it's going, and they were talking about all the sets that they're really excited for. And it's just cool that as a brand, I wonder if when, you know, Legos started, did they even have a concept of what it would become? You know? You sometimes go back and look at the toys you grew up with. There was a Fisher-Price cash register at the store. Oops, getting ahead of myself. And my daughter was like, what is this? And I was like, oh, I had one of those as a kid. It had like the 3 colors that you push down. And she's like, you had this when you were a kid? I said, yeah, you know, they're bringing back all the vintage, you know, all the vintage toys. And we're going to do 2 here. Okay, so this next row is getting a little complicated. We want to make sure we pay attention here. We're going to do 2 2s. And then we're going to do 4 of the 1s, which those are the blacks. Okay. Okay. And then 2 more 2s. Okay. Just like that. And then 2 more of the blacks. And then we're going to end up back in a gray square. Okay. Which means it's going to be white on the end here. Keep that pattern going. I want to see every time I do one of these, a set, there's always at some point during the set I always say, I really want to see the program that they use, you know, to come up with these. Because this is a little bit different. This is probably not that different than the software people use to give themselves a guide on how to do, there were guys that used to do this. They would stream or make YouTube videos, and they would like make like a Minecraft picture. Oh, it's gonna be 5. And you know, you give yourself the pixel basically guidelines, and then you just go and plug all the colors in. You know, it takes a long time, but when you're done, you got yourself a pretty cool picture. Oh, it's hurting. It's like hard with that glare to make sure I'm doing the right thing here. Okay, yeah, it's gonna be the 2s are like kind of coming down in, but then we're gonna go, I'm gonna come from the other side. It's gonna be easier to come from over here to make sure that I count in correctly, because it's 2 blacks off of this white, and then it's a 2, and then it's going to be black all the way in between in that centerpiece, which I think that's 7. Yep. Okay. All right. We're cruising. We are getting it done now. It was actually like nice enough outside today that we sat outside and we played the game with the kickballs for a little bit, and then my daughter's in a cool phase where she's just devouring chapter books. She just reads and reads and reads, and I'm so excited for what that means. for her little mind, you know. And I was, also reading, and it was funny. I was sitting in this chair, and she was sitting with our cat, and she was just kind of petting him. She wasn't looking at me. She was looking away. She had her back to me. And I just sort of just situated myself in the chair. Like I resituated and kind of got comfortable. And I wasn't reading yet. And she was like, "Don't take a nap." And I was totally planning on kind of closing my eyes for a little bit and just napping. I was like, "How did you know?" And she kind of turned and she shot me a little glance, a little grin. And she said, "Well," she said, "you're an old man in a comfortable chair sitting in the warm sun." And I thought, well, yeah, but what a way to phrase it, she almost described it like, I don't know, it made me think of the Redwall books that we read. That's usually the older, the older animals they'll kind of nap in the sun. They get older and they'll be just kind of chilling. I thought it was so funny. It was so astute. She's got me pegged, man. She's got me pegged. Okay. Don't take a nap. She knows too that I usually don't like to take naps, actually. And one of the reasons I don't like to take naps is I can't sleep that night. I like to push through and be super tired at bedtime. That's one of my favorite things to do. Because that's how I push through the fatigue. I'm like, just push through. You'll sleep so good. That's something that I have found. Everybody's different. But for me, the push through method, man, you just push through. And I'm always so glad. Because that night, man, I hit that pillow. Well, I read a little bit before bed. And I'm finishing up The Return of the King. Continued to be frustrated with how bad the movies are. I love the movies. I will never dislike the movies, but I can also say they're bad. I both can actually be true. At the end of The Return of the King, so many great things happen, especially with the hobbits. And boy, oh boy, Peter Jackson, I guess, just had no interest in making sure that the hobbits were treated with care and respect. The liberties he took with them were, in my opinion, just egregious. Just absolutely egregious. And I'm not one of those people that gets all like, your books are better than your movie. Obviously that's always a thing somebody's going to say. It's kind of, it's unavoidable. And I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan, but I'm gonna read the books to my kids, and I guarantee you I'll have similar feelings there. I'll feel like, hey, wow, I'll get that one later. I'll have feelings about characters or story arcs that they change or leave out. But man, the Lord of the Rings, he just flat out just changes entire characters. They're just not even the same. It's like Merry and Pippin, in name only. It is very disappointing. Okay, we're gonna go black all the way across underneath here until we get over to the 2 lane. Yeah, I don't know if you guys do that. I do that. I create my own, almost my own terminologies when I'm doing something like this. Okay. Oh. There we go. It's going to be 4 to fill it in. There we go. I'm a little bit more protective of Star Wars. If you've watched any of my Star Wars, Lego content, I've gotten on the subject of Star Wars a few times. And obviously oops, bumped the mic. Sorry about that. I'm a little bit more, protective of Star Wars because I grew up with it, We're going to do 5 black here. And I'm sure there are people that feel that way about Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter. Oh, there's another one I'll have to get later. I'm sure that they feel that sense of protection because it's personal to them, It's like you just kind of have to go in knowing you're getting something inferior. You are getting the condensed version. And so it's, I don't know. It's kind of like when you go get fast food. Like, you know what you're signing up for. You know you're not going to get a gourmet cheeseburger. Like, it looks like a cheeseburger. It kind of tastes like a cheeseburger, but it's not like a top shelf thing, And movie and show adaptations of books are always going to be like that a little bit. They're going to be a little condensed. You're going to be missing pieces. And I think you can still enjoy them. I honestly think maybe that's the way to enjoy them. Like, I know I will rewatch the Lord of the Rings movies, and I will feel immediate. I will get emotional as soon as I hear the music. It just does something to me. It stirs something, in me. But I will also have that twinge of like, especially Faramir. I like him a lot in the book, and he is not who he ought to be in the movie. He's ruined. Same with Denethor, his father. They just don't do the characters. It's not even that they don't do them justice. They're just different. Completely and utterly different. Their story arcs are so wrong. And I'll feel that twinge, and it'll make me appreciate the books at a deeper level. But I can still enjoy the movie. I think that's a way of doing it. You got to kind of strip some of that away and just let the movie be the movie, or the show, whatever it is that you're watching. All right, let's slap this bad boy in here. There, look at that. Man, I'm so pleased with this. So pleased with this. We're going to continue with more parts after this. I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you enjoyed the one-sided conversation that I always tend to have here on the Brick Abbey. Make sure you're subscribed, hitting like, and all those things. And I'll see you in the next video.